Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everyone, as we always do, please double check your electronic devices, phones, things like that. Make sure they're either off or on vibrate. Also, this meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the Second Class Township Code and printed in the LMP. I also would like to announce, Ken just informed me, for anyone who's speaking tonight, please try to speak a little bit loud. We were trying to use 2 microphones, and it was creating feedback, so the one microphone we have is right there, the round one, sitting on the end by Mike. So you can either step up to the microphone or just try to be a little bit loud so we can get it on the recordings. Thank you. There were no executive sessions that were held. One thing I'd like to announce also is I did speak with Larry tonight. There was the effort to review the article that was written. There was a error that was in there related to pension plan and taking loans and things like that. That's incorrect, so thank you for getting that taken care of. Okay, so past meeting minutes for approval. Gentlemen, do you have any changes, corrections, modifications? Give me a second. No? I didn't have anything.
Nothing from there.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
And I will second that. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none. The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, action, land planning engineer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
There are 3 plans to discuss as identified there. The first 2 are related to lot annexation plans, which just involve the transfer of property between 2 existing parcels with no proposed development associated with either one of them. So the first one, and Ron Hershey Survey is in attendance to represent both of those projects. So first one is 25 South Reevestown Road. The address identified is the parcel that is giving up or transferring approximately 1.5 acres from that existing lot that runs South Reevestown Road to the Benjamin and Joe Hurst property to result in a property of approximately 12.48 gross acres. So that parcel currently is 8.98 acres and receiving the 1.524 acres. As noted in the engineer's report, there were several waiver modifications. Both all 3 are minor in nature, related to the type of plan. One pertains to locating existing features within 200 feet of the subject property. Essentially, the plan information is presented as adequate. The other one relates to Pennsylvania Natural Diversity Inventory Search, and then the other one relates to identifying wetlands on the subject property. Both of those items contain notation on the plan indicating that at such time, if there is future development, those aspects could be further evaluated, or the township could require further evaluation. Another item related to the project is the signing of the DEP request for planning waiver and non-building declaration. That's related to documenting the sewer facilities and indicating that this project does not alter that in any way. As far as the review letter, there was a review letter issued as referenced in the motion of November 9th, 2021. In that review letter, which was utilized as a recommendation for approval by the Planning Commission at their meeting on November 22nd, there are 1 or 2 items probably worthwhile mentioning, and I can address any other items if you feel appropriate. If One item is, as with any plan, we at least have a discussion relative to frontage improvements and whether they're in any way relevant based on the nature of the project, scope of the project, and specifics related to the parcels involved. Based on discussions with staff and at the planning commission, there's really no interest or recommendations for requiring any further items related to frontage improvements based on the current scope of the project. There was another item that was discussed, and that's relating to a stormwater pipe that is part of the system within South Williamstown Road, Township Road, and ultimately is the outfall of a conveyance system within the public road towards the stream. Since that pipe system deflects out of the existing right-of-way as it approaches discharge point, there was discussions about providing an easement for that to clarify ownership and maintenance and provide the township with an opportunity to access that and maintain it in the future. Ron spoke with his clients and have updated the plan to reflect an easement in that area. So I didn't know if there's any other questions or comments or items you'd like to discuss. If not, I can proceed with the three motions. I think we can group them all together to try to simplify things. Three motions related to waiver modification.
Just quick question, Brett. So the easement's in the drawing.
The easements are the shaded area identified on the, or being displayed on the screen behind you. So it would extend from the existing edge of the road right away along the subject property, and the subject property there being the 25 South Williamstown Road property. And from the inlet in the road towards the discharge point adjacent to the bridge, and flares to provide adequate room on the far side of the pipe.
Right, and note number 10, hereby offers it, Brandon crafted a note related to that, hereby offers it to the township for potential future upgrades and the existing stormwater conveyance facilities.
Okay.
That's the note number 10 that you see.
If there's no further questions, the waiver modifications would be identified as a motion to approve a waiver modification of section 195 or 194-13B3A of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to depicting existing features within 200 feet of subject properties and deem the plan information currently provided adequate. Second waiver would be to approve a waiver modification of section 194-13B4 of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to the requirement for a Pennsylvania natural diversity inventory search conditioned on general note, plan note 8 in the name of the plan. Third would be to approve a waiver modification of section 194-23B3A and 194-40B of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to confirming the presence or absence of wetland areas on the subject property conditioned on general plan note 8 in the name of the plan. And general plan note 8, as I referenced before, identifies that those requirements, those searches and studies could be required if there is a proposal for disturbance or construction of improvements at a later date.
Want to handle those together like we've done before? Well, I'm just trying to do it. Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
Do I have them together?
Yeah.
Okay. Based on the recommendation of our engineer, I make the motion that we approve the three motions as laid out and read by the engineer, which will be available for the minutes to get the verbiage exactly correct. Fourth motion to sign the DEP request.
And I, you can say,
However you want to proceed. If you want to deal with the three waivers together, then I'll proceed with the other one.
Yeah, that's what, he read the three, so he's gonna lump the three waiver ones together, and then we would do separate
You want to separate out
the sign one, yeah.
Sorry about that, Greg. Right, and I will second that.
So we're back to the
To the
three.
three,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
The waiver modifications for the three, and I'll second that. Okay, any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
Next motion would be to authorize the representative of the Board of Supervisors to sign Section E of the DEP request for planning waiver and non-building declaration as submitted by the applicant's consultant.
And I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
And if there's no further questions relative to the plan, suggested motion would be to approve the lot annexation plan for 25 South Greenstown Road based on the applicant's consultant addressing the comments in the Becker Engineering LLC review letter dated November 9th, 2021 to the satisfaction of the township, and authorize signature of the plans upon satisfaction of comments.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
So a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, and the motion carries.
Next plan is similar in nature, and as I indicated, it's a lot annexation plan also. The address is involved would be 1215 Reading Road and 51 South Cocalico Creek Road. Project involves the transfer of approximately 3.038 gross acres from the Martin property at 51 South Cocalico Creek Road to the Benora property, which is currently 0.826 acres, which would result in a future lot area of 3.864 acres plus or minus. Property being transferred is currently zoned general commercial. Similar to the other project, the three waiver requests would be identical, and I could read those again. As far as discussion items, on this plan, there were some things a little different than the prior plan, but the first item to discuss or acknowledge, similar to the prior plan, is that there was a discussion with staff and the planning commission about the potential for the appropriateness of any right-of-way or frontage improvements in conjunction with this initial transfer, and the determination was that it's not at this present time. Those items would be dealt with in the future at such time of future land development of those lots. The other item was in the review letter before you, dated October 25th, 2021. There were comments contained in there from the township transportation engineer related to ensuring that as a result of this subdivision, that it doesn't hinder future access management provisions along the 272 corridor. Subdivision land development ordinance requires that lots being developed or altered along the corridor are considered for access management to try to reduce the number of access points and where possible utilize shared access or utilize the parallel access road to utilize lower classification roadways. So that notation requested by John Schick was added to the plan, and staff, we've all reviewed that and deemed that adequate. So wanted to just highlight that to you, make sure there weren't any further comments or questions related to that. If not, three motions again for the waiver modifications would be to Approve a waiver modification in section 194.13B3A of the Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to depicting existing features within 200 feet of the subject properties and deem the plan information currently provided adequate. Second would be to approve a waiver modification of section 194.13B4 of the Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to the requirement for Pennsylvania natural diversity inventory search conditioned on general plan note 8 remaining on the plan. Third would be a motion to approve a waiver modification of section 194.23B3A, 194.40B of the Cocalico Township subdivision land development ordinance related to confirming the presence or absence of wetland areas on the subject property conditioned upon general plan note 8 remaining on the plan.
So we'll do those motions together. And do we have a motion for that?
Yes, I'll make a motion, that the township engineer just read on the three motions to move to approve.
Second.
And it's a motion and a second. Okay, any questions? Yes, sir.
I'll just
Sorry.
diced over.
Thank you.
It just said Reading Road up there, that's North Reading Road, right? Just for clarification. Am I correct? I'm assuming it's North Reading, but I saw it just said North, it just said Reading Road, so down the road, somebody says, oh, well, it didn't say North Reading Road, it's Reading Road, just a clarification for the address. That's all.
Yeah, the plan has North Reading Road, it's just,
Okay, I
it's
just.
just the
thought
title for it was Reading Road.
I just wanted to down the road, somebody says, oh, we know, because of a technical difficulty or whatever, that's all.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plan has North Reading Road on it. I'm looking at it here. So we'll make the correction. Okay, any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motions carried.
Next motion would be to authorize the representative board of supervisors to sign section E of the DEP request plan waiver and non-building declaration as submitted by the applicant's consultant.
Okay, and I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
There aren't any other questions or comments. As recommended by the planning commission, the motion would be to approve the lot annexation plan for 1215 Reading Road based on the applicant's consultant addressing the comments in the Becker Engineering LLC review letter dated October 25th, 2021, with the status of comments updated in the email on December 2nd, 2021, with satisfaction of the township and authorized signature of plan upon satisfaction of comments.
And I will make that motion with Mike, the correction in there for
Yep.
1215 North Reading Road. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you.
I do have the plans here. I did talk to Dale today. Did he sign the non-building deed?
Yes, he did.
All right.
I have them right here for the board to sign.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
he wanted me to get back to what I figured he would probably make that call. So I'll let
Okay.
Dale be Dale. Thank you very much for your time, Dale.
Thank you.
The other plan on the agenda is a stormwater management plan, and it's related to, it's referenced as Brewers Grove Road Lot 3. This would be the third of the 3 lots. There was previously some waiver modifications related to this project granted at a prior meeting. And subsequent to that, an updated submission was received and reviewed by our office. A review letter was issued November 29th, 2021. So if there's no further comments or questions, the recommendation would be to recommend conditional approval of that plan based on that review letter, and then also proceed with confirming the amount of financial security, and then authorizing the signature of the approved guarantee agreement, stormwater management easement agreement, and the plan. And this is for single-family dwelling to be constructed on the lot, similar to what was previously approved for the other lots involved in the subdivision.
Right, there was no one representing that plan.
No, I
Didn't expect anybody.
did not expect anybody based on the discussion with Casey earlier. If there's no further comments or questions, the first motion would be to conditionally recommend to conditionally approve the stormwater management plan for Bruners Grove Road, Lot 3, conditioned upon the applicant addressing all items outlined in the Becker Engineering LLC review letter dated November 29th, 2021, in satisfaction township zoning officer, township engineer, and township solicitor.
Okay, I will make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second.
Discussion?
Yeah, any questions, comments?
Yeah, question, Brent. This motion says, subject to all the items on your review letter being addressed.
Yep.
And then the next motion says, subject to an IGA money being received. Is that fair?
The next motion relates to confirming the amount of that security, correct?
But it must be received before we sign.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And I'm not looking to hold anything up, but this is December now. What is the time frame that we're looking at for this if they have your entire letter to address and then money to get in and what have you? Where are we at?
Well, in terms of the size of the letter, the number of items on the letter are relatively minor, so.
But they only have the letter for 3 days.
Right. Sometimes, the applicant, consultant just left and returned plans in a day or two, so
Okay.
plans can be resubmitted, especially when they, as indicated in this particular review, one of the items is simply changing a reference on the general note, adjusting a flow arrow, and doing most of the items in the letter are actually restatement of the administrative items, such as providing the financial security, signing the improvement guarantee agreement, signing the stormwater management agreement, and submitting the plan with all required certifications on it. So we would not expect this to drag out much longer, but there are certain periods of time based on the stormwater ordinance that if somebody indefinitely did not respond, the conditional approval does not last forever.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Ralph Buckles. This is the second lot being built out along Bruners Mill Road. Is that true, Brent?
No, I'd call this the third lot. This would be the one closest to the intersection of Bruners Grove Road and 897.
All right. This stormwater management plan, will it eliminate stormwater getting into Bruners Grove Road?
So, in terms of, I'd say as a general rule of thumb, any stormwater plan does not eliminate flow. They're obligated to evaluate the pre-development condition, evaluate the post-development condition with the improvements as proposed, offset the impact of the proposed improvements, and essentially result in flow characteristics similar to the pre-development condition. And in fact, in cases, the peak flow would actually be reduced, but that's a 1 minute explanation of the stormwater management ordinance. So There will continue to be flow released from the site in some way. There is a storm drainage system at Martin Drive. There's an inlet there.
So the stormwater management plan for all 3 lots is to take care of all 3 lots, and just those 3 lots, right?
Correct. The stormwater management plan and the obligations of each one have, the 2 that were previously approved had individual facilities designed on each lot to accommodate the impact and impervious surface proposed on that particular lot. So yes, this would be the 3rd one, and this has an individual feature on the lot to be owned and maintained by the property owner to address the runoff from this lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so I believe we have a motion and a second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
Next motion would be to acknowledge the required amount of financial security to be established with the township for the stormwater management plan for Bruner's Grove Road, Lot 3, in the amount of $20,497 for the improvement cost estimate dated October 23rd, 2021, prepared by Mr. Simmons.
Any motion?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Any questions? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries.
Since the next 3 relate to authorizing signature, I suggest we take them all at one time. And that would be a motion to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the improvement guarantee agreement for the stormwater management plan for Bruner's Grove Road, Lot 3, when signed by the applicant, provided a form acceptable to the township solicitor, along with required financial security, the form acceptable to the township solicitor. Second would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater maintenance and easement agreement related to the stormwater management plan for Bruner's Grove Lot 3, when executed by the applicant, submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township solicitor. Third would be to authorize signature of the stormwater management plan for Bruner's Grove Road, Lot 3, by the board of supervisors to find the applicant adequately resolving all conditions of plan approval in satisfaction of the township zoning officer, township engineer, and township solicitor.
So we'll take all 3 of those together. Okay, we have a motion. Okay. I will make a motion for the 3 motions combined that the township engineer just read. And do I have a second?
Yes.
A second? Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Opposed, none, and the motions carry. I think that's all I have for.
Yep, unless you want more.
No. Great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. Mike.
Okay, the next action item is Resolution 2113, tax rates for 2022. As we indicated during the budget session, we were not going to see any type of tax increase concerning real estate, street light, or hydrant. So resolution number 2021-13 is a resolution of the Township of East Cocalico, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rate for the year 2022. The millage rate for real estate will remain 1.768 mils. Street light purposes will be the sum of $1 per frontage foot, and the hydrant, for hydrant purposes, the sum of 0.12 mils. The rate of taxation in dollars and cents on each $1,000 of assessed valuation. So I guess this is the part of the normal process where you first take action on the resolution for the tax rates, then the budget itself, and then we'll get to the 3rd resolution.
So I will make the motion to adopt resolution 2021-13 setting the 2022 tax rates for East Cocalico Township for no increase. And do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries.
The next item, Resolution 2021-14, is the adoption of the proposed 2022 budget. Again, as we indicated, we'll not see any type of tax increase. For 2022, the township for the general fund is projecting total revenues of $6,558,176. Total expenditures of $6,665,452, with monies from our carryover from the 2021 and prior budgets of $107,300 to balance that budget. Real estate tax remains the same. Just some highlights. The taxes in general, real estate, transfer, earned income, LST, total about $4,478,406, which is roughly about 68.3% of the general fund revenues. This year's budget also will include a $200,000 CDBG grant for the Reamstown Heights Stormwater Pipelining Project, and a transfer of $215,000 from the Capital Reserve Fund to purchase 3 vehicles for the police and 1 for the road department. In regard to, do you normally do a quick overview of it, or do we just jump in? Okay. In regard to general fund expenditures, salary and wage increases for non-uniform staff this year are projected at 3.5%. I'll just try to hit some of the highlights, and if there's any questions, I'll try to answer those. The donations for the fire companies remain $35,000 for each of them, $30,000 for the Reamstown ambulance. There is, out of that $215,000, $150,000 for the police vehicles, $65,000 for the new pickup truck. There's an allocation of $241,947 for the Reamstown Heights Stormwater Project. $200,000 of that is grant monies. The other is the township match, as well as $37,581 in funding for the Rose Hill Stormwater Basin Project. There's, for the Reamstown Pool, $57,260 for pool management for next year. And there's also a line item of $35,000 for capital improvements to the pool, including repairs to the slide and steps, coping, and restroom block walls. There's a $25,000 allocation to the Adamstown Area Library, and a transfer of $200,000 to the General Capital Fund for potential pension MMO cost growth in the future. We did project conservatively increases for professional services, insurance, and other commodities to reflect what we're seeing in the current market. We think we're pretty confident in what we would put there to make sure we're covered. That's the biggest, obviously the biggest fund. Quickly, streetlight fund, there's no change to the millage. We will be using some of our reserves to balance that budget, so that's something we're gonna have to look at in the future, because the cost to pay for streetlights is exceeding what we're bringing in each year in streetlight tax, so we had to dip into the reserve there. And the hydrant fund, no change to that assessment, and we anticipate a small surplus in 2022. Recreation fund, we're projecting $21,000 in revenues for next year, based off of allocations and contributions from developers. And the board had set a $70,000 budget for the recreation fund, so that our recreation board will consider projects that will try to stay within that budget. And they will meet, prioritize those projects, and then obviously present them to the board for approval. Some of those things include a development of a planning plan for the Fishing Creek Park and improving some barriers there, possibly some trail improvements at the Reamstown Park, the Reamstown Municipal Park. I think I've called it 4 different names since I've been here, so you'll know where we're referring to. Looking at the fence at the Reamstown Pool, sound system at the pool as well, and then some recreation enhancements at some of our other parks. There is right now a survey that's going to the old homestead development for that park to see what other improvements they may want to see. So we're looking forward to getting those surveys back. And I believe the pool survey, just to give you an indication, we sent that out. I think we were close to 50% response rate for that survey. So some really good ideas and thoughts that come in for people telling us what they're looking for. Capital reserve budget, we are looking at $202,305, which is primarily transfer over from the general fund into there for that pension issue, and then transferring out $215,000, which is going to go the vehicles. It seems a little counterintuitive to transfer in and out, but really part of that was meant to, as our pension plan looks the way it does, to make sure that we continue to budget accordingly so that we don't get hit one year with a very large MMO and then we're sort of scurrying around to try and make sure we can plan to budget that. Traffic impact fund, total revenues of $124,690. Again, that's a projection based off of potential developments and monies that for developments that have been approved, and those fees are going to be paid over the course of the next year. And the total expenditures is projected to be $438,000, so about $313,310 coming out of the reserve to balance that. Looking for that, those monies are used for engineering and solicitor services, that they attend the meetings and look to address plans. We have a study right now that is undergoing the first phase for Church Street 272 and looking at those improvements. And then there's a larger $400,000 allocated. As you've been aware, the board has discussed, we've looked at the possible relocation of Hill Road as well as the Church Street 272 intersection, some of these big projects to try and move forward and to make some headway on those. Liquid Fuels Fund, we're projecting total revenues of $379,238. That's the money we get from the state for liquid fuels. The expenditures are $575,000. We do have a pretty good surplus in there, and we're looking to carry over $195,762 to balance that budget. Those monies are going to go to repave and resurface. Right now, the following streets are what's proposed: a mill and overlay of the Reevestown Heights developments, Cardinal Drive, Oriole Drive, Blue Jay Drive, Audubon Circle, and then a mill and overlay of Pfeiffer Hill Road, and then oil chipping Glenwood Drive, Foss Lane, and Keeler Avenue. So we've kind of backed into those as part of our road projects, and that's what's projected now based off of the engineer estimates. Lastly, the ARPA fund, total revenues are budgeted to be $562,000. That is the second phase of the monies the township is being allocated by the federal government. And our total expenditures are projected at $425,500. They include an allocation of $45,000 for a new HVAC system, an allocation of $60,000 for a new generator for the municipal building, an $80,000 allocation for a records management system for the township to digitize and make records available remotely, an allocation of $37,500 to be the 2.5% match for the police officers' pension contribution, and an allocation of $175,000 for the construction of a highway department salt shed expansion, which is designed to get equipment currently stored out in the open inside, and an allocation of $28,000 for the FS4 program. This plan was put together. Obviously, we're still waiting for final guidance from the federal government as to what we can spend this on before we sort of pull the trigger on these certain projects. And we also were trying to make sure that we spent this money over a period of time and not trigger an expensive audit that once you exceed a certain amount, the township would be required to do. According to our financial administrator, that this money, along with our $200,000 CDBG money, once you get to $1 million, that triggers an audit that needs to be done, and we like to then at least pace this over so we're not spending some of our other money just to show the government that we spent it correctly. We can do that internally. So that's a quick summary of it. The budget has been on the website. It's here. I think there's copies out there as well. And now it's up for the board to take action and approve.
Do you want to make a comment about our discussions related to the energy costs and what we budgeted?
No, go ahead.
We had some interesting discussions over the heating, the electric, and the increased energy costs. We originally budgeted, we were targeting 40%. I believe we settled and we put into the budget a 65% increase on energy costs for next year. So that's our best guess as to where they're going to go. Because we all agreed 40% was probably a little so.
Just as a aside to that, our gasoline with the sharing program with the high school, the first 6 months of this year, we were under $1 a gallon. And then it basically doubled here in the second half of the year up to just shy of $2 a gallon.
Where that'll go till we get into the second half of next year, we're not sure, but that's just a good example of what the chairman was referring to.
Yeah, that's a good point, because that's the kind of projections we're trying to do that are so difficult to do right now in this environment.
Well, if you want to do projections, you know, the liquid fuels tax, the amount received will only go down as electric vehicles come online. And electric vehicles don't have to buy that fuel, and therefore they're not paying that liquid fuels tax. That won't happen overnight, but if you're just looking at a 5-year projection, it'll be what I'll call impactful. Maybe not serious yet, but it'll be impactful.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2021-14, which is the 22 budgets for East Cocalico Township.
I will second that.
I do have a question before you move on.
Yes, sir.
Alan Maxwell, just had a couple questions for clarity more than anything else on the budget. On, I believe it's page 11 under snow materials highway, we have a budget of $55,000 for 2022. Two questions. A, is that how much in the weight of tons of ice melt and anti-skid does that get us? And B, is that going to get us through the winter, or are we looking at possibly having to spend this amount again to get through the winter?
Okay, just as an example, on the list of bills tonight, there was 2 loads of salt purchased. The CoStar's price on that's just a little over $51 a ton. So, you know, you can do the math on that. You know, what kind of winter are we going to have? It's anybody's guess there. You know, I think that's a safe number from my observations.
Yeah, and that budget amount will, the way that's done is to cover us, obviously, with the first part of the winter in 2022, and then as we get into the second part, as you get into November and December for the balance of the year. So it's generally based off, usually it's based off of, you know, what we've used in the past, what we project, the cost that's been presented, and then we try to plan accordingly to make sure it gets us through the entire year.
Okay, I was just curious on that. The other thing is, and it's just a matter of curiosity on my part, what, and Jeff, maybe you can answer this, what is the mix that we plan on using this year for ice melt anti-skid?
There's been conversation with the roadmaster about more salt, less anti-skid, but it basically comes down to what kind of storm you have. If there's ice, anti-skid normally is necessary.
Be more of a game day decision.
Yes. You know, it just comes down to what you're seeing out there, and he's got that expertise. I'm not going to step in and try and predict what's coming.
No problem. I was just curious. The second question I had was on, I believe it's on page 5 under 01.401 management. There's a line item there for contract manager services of $105,000. Is that East Cocalico's share of Mr. Hessian's salary with Denver, or is this other management services that we're contracting out?
No, that's correct. That's the township share of my salary benefits with Denver.
Okay, I was just curious on that. And then again, I do have to comment there, the salt in the wound, in the open wound of the $120,000 for our former debacles. That stings. We're looking at budgets, we're looking at money out of our pockets, and that really, really stings to see that in there, knowing that we paid her that much, especially when my research has shown that that was way over what the going rate was for township managers at the time in a tri-county area. I don't think that's going to go away. That's going to need to be revisited as we move forward. But I just wanted to say that that is very much salt in an open wound to the township residents. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Doug Mackley, I got a couple here if you don't mind. Under state capital operating grants, recycling performance grant, $220,000. Is that realistic? I don't think, do you remember what last year's was in total? I don't think it was anywhere close to that. It was dropping back all the time.
What number did you say, Doug?
Category 01354.08.0. Recycling performance grant.
Yep, in 2020, the amount that was listed for that as actual was $220,190. 2021 actual through October 27th was $225,116.
I'm staying corrected, I'm sorry, I thought it was lower than that.
Acme Warehouse is relevant there.
Thank you. I guess looking through here, I have a whole bunch of questions, but one thing I couldn't find was when you get into the supervisors or the financial people, I saw there's no bonding listed there. Where's that? There was, the new supervisor came in here last month, and he said about transparency. Where's it listed for the bonding for the supervisors as well? It's not in this package. It doesn't have a line item for bonding for the township supervisors nor the financial administrator.
Should be insurances,
Under the insurances.
See, that's what I mean. The insurance, that includes health, that includes everything. I mean, you should be breaking this thing out a little bit so you understand it. I know I'm nitpicking, but it's just.
Insurance. Yeah, it doesn't appear to be broken down, it just appears to be in that line item, but.
Which line item? Oh, in the whole packet, or supervisors?
It seems like it's just going to be in the overall insurance line item. But it does not show a bond like separate for both, or I guess for the supervisors, myself, the financial person.
Yours is shown. That's what's, if I use the word squirrely, that's what's squirrely about it.
Number 2, halfway down. 405.35.0, bonding treasurer, assistant treasurer.
Yep.
Where is it, chief?
405.35, yeah, page 2 of 11, $4,529.
Treasurer.
Oh, okay, okay. And one other question, and I'll let you alone. Do you have an idea on what the total cost for the solicitor is going to be this year? I know in the past, Judy had said, well, by the new rules, you've got to put so much here and so much there. You can't just have one lump sum under general fund. I couldn't add up all the costs for the solicitor or the engineer. Engineer, I saw that thing about 3 different places.
Yeah, I guess there's one line item that's essentially township items, as you're aware, that we have to pay. There's another that we get reimbursed from a developer. And I guess you said you saw it in 3 places?
Yeah, we have the we have the permits broken out for solicitors. We have also under professional services, we have the solicitor fee there also.
Yeah, usually 414 is the bill back. That's what the developer. So that this year is the 25,926, and then when you're under the as you get into the 400s, we have the 404. Here is 23,292. And I do believe because we made the change, I know when we discussed this in the budget, we were being conservative with the solicitor line items just because of bringing on new solicitors, obviously when you have one who's been involved for 20 years or so, they have a general understanding of different things that happen, whereas now there takes a little bit more time to explain, provide background documentation. So we were trying to plan accordingly for that as well.
Okay. And you had said, Mike, earlier that you're gonna transfer money from the capital reserve to buy 3 police vehicles and 1 truck. Is that something of that?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
I think the truck was 65,000, the estimate, that would have been in the road departments, and then the
Right.
150 was in the.
Well, that was what spurred the question, because under the highway department, it says capital purchase of a 2020 dump truck, and then it has truck lease, so I understand that. You bought it in 2020, and you're paying like a 5-year lease on it or something like that. So that's 35,000. But the next one is the capital purchase of a small dump truck for 19,275. And then a skid, that's a lease, the skid loader, and then the 65,000 for the capital purchase of a truck. But the next item says the capital purchase of a tiger mower. And it shouldn't, I mean, that's that 31,000, that's a lease, isn't it? I mean, you got that last year, am I right or wrong?
No, I think you're looking at a bunch of equipment that was purchased before 2020.
That's what I'm saying, it should say lease, I think. It
No,
looks like
it's a lease purchase, we're gonna own it. It's
Well,
not.
I understand that, Jeff.
Yeah.
Semantics on the word. that's
Right.
Yeah.
The only new purchase there is the
Is
one
the
truck.
one dump truck.
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
It's a pickup truck, I'm sorry, not a dump truck. It's just 65,000.
550.
Yeah.
No.
Another question? Yes, sir.
So I do have a question on page 5 of 11. Don Miller, underneath fire emergency management, barn fire of 64,000.
That's the, I believe that's projection for the pass-through that comes from the state, we have to give to the fire relief and gets distributed accordingly.
Relief monies.
Yeah.
Case for gear and equipment, safety equipment and training.
That's an additional to the 35 from government.
Yeah, that goes to the relief association.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a different organization.
Yeah.
And we account for that, but think of it as strictly a pass-through. Comes from the state, and then we pass it out to the fire company.
Yeah. And then the fire marshal of 1,000. Who is the fire marshal?
Harvey Hockey.
That's what I thought. I was looking on the website, I didn't see anything on the website, no link to the fire marshal. So I thought it was, that's just what I'd ask.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay.
All right. It's good getting through the budget, right? Next item is resolution 2021-15, East Cocalico Township Police Officer Contribution. This is a resolution that essentially is establishing what the board action was taken at the last meeting to reduce the payroll contributions from the police officers for the to the pension fund from the 5%, which it was in the past, including 2021, to 2.5% in 2022. Since there is a change, and I believe in the past this type of resolution has been done every year. I don't believe it was done in 2020, but the resolution for 2019 had indicated that that remains in effect until such time as the township adopts a superseding resolution. So we are in effect adopting that right now. So included is a resolution number 2021-15 is a resolution replacing resolution 29-22 of the township of East Cocalico, providing necessary contributions as determined by the valuation report required by Act 205 53 PS 895.302 to the East Cocalico Township Police Retirement Plan through contributions by the police officers in East Cocalico Township.
Okay. And I will make that motion.
I will second.
You have a motion and a second. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Joe Gordon, I have a statement I'd like to read. Mr. Mitchell, as a member of the Police Pension Committee and as a credentialed professional in the financial and accounting fields, I am shocked and insulted by your comments at the last meeting. Your comments announcing that you have no information about the pension made it sound as though the pension committee and its individual members are acting unethically, improperly, and illegally. You announced that you don't have any information, and you also announced you never asked for any information. Which one is it? You already voted on many pension-related motions and items. As the East Cocalico treasurer, supervisor, and fiduciary, why do you vote on something you know nothing about? You were able to find a $5 difference in an invoice. I am not a politician, I am a volunteer. I am a professional credentialed person in the field. Your defamatory comments carry significant implications for me personally, professionally, and impact my employment and income. I will not tolerate it. The township listened to the police union concerns about the poor portfolio performance and formed the pension committee whose directive was to review historical performance, evaluate how to improve it, recommend changes, make changes the board of supervisors approved and voted on, and monitor and evaluate ongoing performance. Keep in mind the courage of this committee. It was a committee that was assuming the stress, the risk, the reputation of the success or failure, because it is the focal point for the recommendations to the board of supervisors. It has been an honor working with the committee members, our pension administrators, and our actuaries. We all need to be proud that we accomplished the mission we were assigned. I have made a decision, and I want to make it clear. I am resigning from the committee because of your comments, and not because of any actions by the committee or its members or myself. I cannot and I will not have my personal or professional reputation impugned in any way. Thank you.
Thank you for your service to the committee.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Okay. FS4 program, Team Ag Scope of Services.
Okay, I'll start, and then Ken, if you want to jump in, feel free. What the board has in front of you today, dated December 1st, 2021, is a revised copy of the proposal and contract and scope of services submitted by Team Ag Incorporated to East Cocalico Township to provide services through the township's FS4 program. That program was approved for advertising, and the township did do so, and we did have a number of four actually farmers in the area to submit applications to participate in that. We did run this program on a first come, first served basis, trying to make sure we meet our goals of sediment reduction of about 93,606 pounds in the Cocalico Creek watershed and 8,861 pounds of sediment reduction in the Muddy Creek watershed. The proposal by Team Ag is to provide support services and verification for that program, and I'll just highlight them quickly, and then we can look at the potential cost, and then if there's any questions concerning the program or the proposal, we can address those before the board will be asked to take action on this proposal. Essentially, Team Ag will be responsible for preparing a report for each farm, including a follow-up inspection and report following the harvest. So they'll visit each farm to review their plans, their E&S plans, ag plans, manure management plans, conservation plans, to determine the plan status. They'll conduct the conservation tillage inspections of the fields. Each field will require 3 measurements. If a field has strips, which is corn, alfalfa, then each strip will need 3 measurements. Following that visit, they'll prepare a report, including map of the fields, verification that it's in the urban area, a status of the plans, a measurement of the crop residue, and the calculation of the sediment reductions. And that'll be provided to the township, and then ultimately the township then can decide which farms, based off of that, would be eligible for the program and the grant. The second set of inspections by Team Ag will be measurements for each field conducting after crop harvest to confirm sediment reduction calculations, and that'll also include about a one-page report. Based off of what we're looking at now, and we are looking at 3 different farms, 2 in the Cocalico Creek and 1 in the Muddy Creek area. They're looking at somewhere between approximately $5,300 to provide that service for the year. The second part is agronomic crop services. Team Ag's staff is available to do in-season phone consultations with participating farms at $110 an hour. They do not do crop scouting on an as-needed basis due to their heavy existing workload. That cost will depend on obviously the direction from the township and the farmer and seeing if any of these services are needed. There's also an adaptive nitrogen management practice, and Team Ag will provide that using NIFWIF funding. They'll meet with the participating farmers in the spring and fall to collect field history, determine fields to be sampled, share and discuss results over a 2-year period. They will be pulling samples, 4 per field, and 2 fields of approximately 12 acres will be chosen for each participating farm, so the farmer can compare the results of these fields with other fields. That's at no cost to the township. That's all grant funded. And then lastly, the related expenses is if there's a need to update or prepare a manure management plan, ag plan, or E&S plan. So if any of our participating farms need to have those plans brought up to speed in order to do it, there's an approximate cost of about $1,500 to do that. Right now, based off of what we've seen, we may have one that falls within that realm, but that's it out of the applications we received. So we're projecting the Team Ag cost could be anywhere from $5,300 to $6,800, roughly maybe $7,000 for the year. That's based on, again, the actual enrollment of who's in and what we see. So we've been trying to plan out essentially what these costs are going to be. When we looked at the 3 farms that potentially could be enrolled, the one farm would be getting a grant award of about $18,136. The other one would be $5,250, and another one would be $3,045. So that's 23, 26, roughly $26,431.50, roughly, would be what would be spent. And when you look at that, to meet our per year, to meet our MS4 requirements, I mentioned it the last couple times, areas that are doing stream bank restoration projects are spending $500,000 to do that. So this is a very cost-effective way and an innovative way to see how we can get this done and make sure we do it to the benefit of our community. So right now, this being the first phase and Team Ag being the arm that we talked about doing this work, if the board is inclined, you can make a motion to authorize the chairperson of the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors to execute the proposal and contract submitted by Team Ag Incorporated dated December 1st, 2021 for the township's Farmers Saving Soil Stopping Sediment FS4 program.
Okay, I have a couple questions on this. This is a brand new program, so the public's well aware of this. We're about to pay $18,136.15 to one farm. We're about to pay $5,250 to a second farm. In addition to that, there's another $5,300 in estimated cost from Team Ag. That's an estimated cost, right? Mm-hmm. So there are anywhere from $90 to $120 an hour for engineers, junior engineers, any kind of specialist, anybody that needs to follow up or talk to, okay? We're fortunate enough that in year 1 of the program, it's covered by the ARP grant. The question is, what's the expectations of the farmers, these farmers, in year 2, 3, and 4?
Well, I believe it's a 3-year grant program that we obligated ourselves to sign them up.
Okay.
So, after that period, we had talked about a reevaluation of where DEP's next round of sediment reduction requirements are going to be, and how we're going to approach that. We actually had, I don't know, Ken, was it more than 3 times, 4 times the submitted acreage that we were looking for?
Yes, the first person that sent in a letter of intent was offering 380 acres, of which we needed 120. And after the others who submitted, there was a 4th one that came in offering another 150 acres, which we had to decline since it was a first come, first served basis.
Okay, so my question is, are we very, very clear on the expectations?
From the producers?
Yes, yeah.
I believe we are. We ran the grant program through our solicitor there. He approved the approach to moving forward with that. It was his language actually that changed it to a grant program. There again, this is a pilot program. We're working this out from the ground up with no template there for us.
And that's why I'm asking. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm asking.
I think Mike, Ken, we discussed over time, well, there might be a hiccup somewhere in the process here.
This program was worked out through John Williamson of Team Ag, and he was working with Scott Arwood, who is with DEP, the regional person here who would be handling that. And so we were working closely with DEP to make sure that what we were doing would be accepted by DEP for our sediment reduction requirements.
I understand that. I'm just asking, are we sure about that? The one thing I'd recommend we do as a township, okay? Because the technology is so simple. Let's get a tab out on the website somewhere. Okay, that tab is specifically for this program. Let's get the information out there, Jeff, for this program, right? Let's get the contract out there for this program.
It is currently on the website.
It is out there.
The entire
Okay.
package of information that went out to all the farmers is also available at the front of the MS4 page.
It was actually on the website before the mailing went out, wasn't it?
Was it?
We tried to do it simultaneously
Okay.
because it was first come, first served. So we dropped them in the post office. I brought them around, delivered them to the counters in the post office, so they hopefully go out more quickly. You never tell about the post office these days. And the documents went onto the website the following day, which would have been the earliest at which people could have received them in the mail.
Okay.
At the same time, the public advertisement went in the paper.
Okay, good,
Right.
good.
So I think we covered all the bases we could at the same time.
Did you also then, as we selected these farmers now, it's public funds, we should list those out there also, where that project's being done?
Yes, Ken and I.
I think probably the time to do that is after the supervisors have authorized that. So we're gonna bring information to probably the next supervisors meeting on who applied and look to approve those. And then I think after they've been approved would be the appropriate time for that to end up on the website rather than before it's actually been approved.
There has to be a validation program of each.
Exactly.
And I didn't think we wanted to jump the gun and approve something before the validation process had at least been started and say, okay, we're going to be able to get there with these producers.
No, great. I mean, that's.
And keep in mind, they still have to meet the minimum requirements of it to get a payment. This isn't going out just to sign up. The payment schedule was after planning, looking at probably the end of next June, once the first validation can be put in place. And the second half of it will be at the end of next year after the second validation part is done and completed, just to make sure that everybody's in compliance. And they're well aware that if they can't make compliance, there's no payment.
Right, and it's important for us to get compliance because it's gonna meet our sediment reduction goals and at the same, so.
No, I think it's a great program, I do. It's just, I want to make sure, and you clarified some of those questions.
And it's one of the reasons we offered, a consultant on a limited basis to try and make it a successful program. I think that there's a few of these submissions, they'll be trying something new on their land, and we want to help them be successful in one way or the other. So if it means an hour or 2 hours of a consultant giving them some good advice to help them move forward in a productive way, I think it puts a good light on us as well.
Okay, so one final question. For the TMAC, Jeff, point of contact is Kenford, or can the farmer call TMAC directly?
That is an item that we haven't discussed yet, Mike.
That hasn't been set up. It should probably be through me so that we don't
Yes,
have
absolutely.
large numbers of hours showing up that we didn't know anything about.
And that's exactly why I'm asking that one, because
Yeah,
that's
right.
a billable rate, billable
Absolutely.
hourly rate.
Yeah, we can't do that open-ended. No, not at all.
Okay,
So,
Question. Ralph Buckles.
yes, sir.
Mr. Mitchell, were there meetings held with the farmers to discuss this program and how it was going to operate?
there were questions asked of different farmers throughout the community. What is your feeling about something like this being implemented by the township? We did have a meeting last year at March in Weaver's Market, where we had how many participants show up, Ken? It was
30 or 40 maybe?
Yeah, some of them were from West Cocalico, but a majority were from East. And that was kind of a kickoff to talk about conservation tillage, no tillage.
It's more of a kickoff for the concept of what we're doing. The details haven't been worked out yet. So we couldn't invite anyone to
This
that.
concept was talked about as well. So, it's been something that's been ongoing now for almost 2 years with farmers in the township.
I'll be more clear with my question. Were there meeting minutes, attendee lists, and other written documentation to verify what it is you shared?
As far as the meeting at Weaver's Market,
And other email communications? I mean, is there a contract with the farmers?
this will be a grant award with the farmers that we're looking to put in place.
There will be a contract.
There will be a contract.
Yeah, there's a written contract, spells out the terms.
Okay.
But that
We have a
will
sample
be
copy
when
if
we
you'd
pick
like
the
to see
people,
it.
and then they'll sign it after that, been approved by the supervisors.
Oh,
There are lists of people that came to the meetings that we had.
Right.
And there is a mailing list that I use in the township of owners of 10 acres or more within the urban area of the township. It's our base mailing list where we got the information out.
I can tell you, Mr. Buckles, my mother received at least 2 pieces of correspondence relative to the farmland that she owns.
Well, the reason why I ask, I personally have 13 acres and it's in clean and green, and I haven't seen one written scrap of paper on this. And I live in the township.
Are you in the urban boundary?
I am between Reinhold's Road and the Denver Borough line.
Well, I'd have to look at the map, but if you didn't get one, that's probably because you're not in the urban boundary. The urban boundary is a very strange thing. It's little patches here and there, and
It actually cuts farms in
it's just
half.
strange.
It's the
Now, several of them.
conservation district.
No, it's the US Census Bureau.
I understand, but where I live is in the conservation.
Right, that has nothing to do with this.
Yes, sir.
Doug Mackley, I understood twice now that this is a grant. Is that correct?
That's the way the solicitor had termed it.
Is that, it is a grant then, is it yes or no? That's a simple answer, Jeff. Yes or no, it's a grant.
That's what it says on the top of the paper.
Okay, so in other words, we're not putting any of this money up front. This is gonna come from the feds, or Sleepy Eye Joe, or whoever down is gonna send us a check. Sorry, Craig, gotta say what's on my mind. Anyhow, we're not funding any of this at all out of the township coffers, is that correct?
I believe in the budget, the ARPA funded is directed towards this program.
For this year, yeah, for 2022.
So we're gonna send these guys a check before we even get money from the grant.
No, we have, if there wasn't, this is ARPA eligible because of the stormwater component. So we already got 562,000 this year in ARPA monies, and that's included in the program for next year. But if there was not ARPA money, it could be very well be township money that's used to cover that. So the grant that it's not a grant that was received by the township, essentially the township's giving a grant.
I should have clarified the question,
Right.
you're right. So we haven't received anything, we just put the term grant down
There,
and hope it shows up.
there are grants being made to farmers. It's not a grant
It's
going
an
to the
outbound grant. It's
township,
an outbound grant.
it's a
not
grant from the township to farmers.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
We didn't do a motion, I don't
They
think.
didn't do a motion? Yeah, I just have those couple questions. Do we have a motion then? Or any other comments or questions?
Okay, yes, I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion to authorize the chairperson of the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors to execute the proposal and contract submitted by Team Ag Incorporated for the township's Farmers Saving Soil Stopping Sediment FS4 program.
A second.
I'll second.
Yeah, motion and a second. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Let me just add an
Yeah.
aside, to your point, it's Ken, Mike, we will have to clarify that any request for scouting will come through Ken.
Yeah, I think
To the participants.
I mean, we focused
Yes.
primarily with Team Ag in trying to identify what those services were gonna be and rein that
Yes.
in. But when we actually go to the point of making sure that the people are on board and we issue these grants, we should have that in place beforehand.
We will.
Yeah, basically, you're flow charting the process.
Absolutely.
So the point of contact should always be Ken first, and then out to Team Ag or whatever has to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that.
If I could, there's one other comment about the nature of the program. Our current MS4 permit requires us to remove a certain amount of sediment by the end of per year by the end of the grant cycle. When that cycle ends, there will be a whole new permit written. And the word among various entities that I've talked to and heard at conferences is that in our next cycle, it's likely to be possibly quite different in that next time around might not just be sediment we have to reduce, we may have requirements to reduce nitrogen and phosphorus pollution also. And so if we're in a situation where things change radically, had we done the $500,000 stream project, which gets rid of sediment, but doesn't do a very good job of getting rid of nitrogen and phosphorus, all of a sudden we're really starting from ground zero in our next permit cycle.
if we're doing this FS4, which is being done as an annual thing, at a point where the rules change, we can immediately adapt, and especially because a farm is the best place to try to reduce nitrogen and phosphorus pollution, not stormwater basins in development and stream banks. There's not that much available to reduce.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a safety factor,
yeah, good.
being able to change as we go along.
Good point, Ken. It's not going to get any easier as the years progress.
No.
Yeah,
Especially as the county doesn't meet its goals.
correct.
Plus, it'll also give the township the opportunity, depending on where DEP goes with this, that surrounding municipalities who may have difficulty meeting some of these type of measures in their own municipality may be able to get involved with that program and pay these Cocalico Township farmers to comply so that those municipalities could comply with their regulations. So the benefit there is obviously the township sees more participation. We address this issue on more farms, and it's paid for by surrounding municipalities, which then also are able to meet their requirements, whereas they may not be able to in their own municipality.
Well said.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, next item. Mike.
Okay, the Lancaster County Planning Commission had sent out a letter an email to all the municipalities in the Northeast region, which includes East Cocalico, Denver, Adamstown, Akron, Clay, Ephrata Township, Liddittsboro, Elizabeth Township, Warwick, and West Cocalico, that they're looking for nominations for the Lancaster County Planning Commission, essentially someone to serve from that region to represent the Northeast region on that committee. Nominations must be made by municipal elected officials. I think I mentioned this at the last supervisor meeting. They must be either a municipal elected official, a municipal manager, or a municipal planning commission member. And the board has been asked if, as all the boards in those municipalities, to nominate, if you have someone, to nominate them by December 15th. And then the county will review that. They'll reach out to those nominees and then eventually make a recommendation to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners to have that person seated for their January 10th, 2022 meeting. It's quite an involvement from what we found. 24, approximately 2 meetings a month, 24 per year, just for the County Planning Commission during the day. And I look at Sharon because she, in a previous life, worked in this capacity. Also workshops and some MPO meetings, and it's all volunteer down at the county, correct? So we had looked at, this issue was brought up at the Planning Commission meeting. We also did look to see, since Sharon has a background in this capacity and had worked there before, would it be worthwhile, or could we see that being a unique opportunity? But the county had responded that essentially they limit it to an elected official, a planning commission member, or a municipal manager. So we are at the point tonight, it's on the agenda. This will be our last meeting prior to that deadline if there was a recommendation from the board. I know Denver Borough is looking at this. I'm sure West Cocalico and Adamstown are as well, trying to identify if there's someone who may be willing to serve in our region.
You can't. Can we change your title?
Sure. We switch sides to the table.
Do you have the dates?
That they meet?
Yeah.
I think they.
Can you send them to me?
Yeah, they just put LCPC meetings twice a month, 24 per year. Are they generally Mondays? I think
Yes.
Mondays in the afternoon. Yeah, I believe they are Monday afternoons. What time would you say about?
Probably around 3, as I recall.
Okay.
We had talked about changing that also, but it's not at the end, it's not after work hours.
So once a name gets sent down, they'll reach out and they're gonna ask why you'd like to serve as an LCPC member, what interests, skills, experience you bring, and if you wanna participate in community groups.
Yeah, right.
I just asked Craig would telecommute for that.
So
But can I get back to you tomorrow or the day after?
Yeah, is the board comfortable with if you want to do it?
I'm not saying I do.
If you do.
I didn't say that.
I already have the letter written, it's just I need to fill in a name, so we need to see who it
I did
is.
not say that. I just said, I have a calendar out about 8 months, so let me see.
Okay.
Because we really need to have somebody there, right?
Well, we kind of keep stressing it's important to get ourselves at the table,
It's someone, I remember when, supervisor from Clay Township,
Oh, okay.
young fellow.
Price, John Price?
John
Yeah,
Price.
right.
I remember when John Price served in this capacity. I remember when Steve Sawyer served in this capacity. It's not as individualized to your municipality as you think. You heard the list of municipalities that he read. Any one of them can submit a name, and I would assume they all have the same weight.
Mhm.
I
Right.
would assume so. So it's whether we're the voice for everybody from Shaw's Corner north, or whether it's someone that we have a good relationship with that we can receive a voice on there. We'll have to wait and see, but don't assume that we're the only municipality sitting here trying to figure out if we should have something like this, because the others are doing it as well.
Thanks.
Okay. You want to move into my report then?
Yeah,
That's
please.
next one. Okay.
Sorry, Nick.
No problem. The one item that I have under my agenda items is the Wabash Road Truck Restrictions Study. We do have, the Ekmans are here, and I think who are living the truck turning issues at the corner. And I'm actually even getting, just earlier this week, I had an email from a person who lives in Denver, had a camera on her car and videotaped the last episode of a truck going through there and sent that. And I think the fire company had posted one a couple weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, someone had posted that there. So the trucks turning at that area continue to cause problems, continue to impact that street light pole or the PP&L pole that's there. And so a couple meetings ago, we had, the board had authorized me to send a letter to PennDOT asking about putting signage up and installing some truck restriction signs on Line Road at that area to try and, again, better promote that trucks shouldn't be turning there, particularly the larger trucks. Right now, there is signage that's there, and it's weight restricted. They seem to be not really adhering to those signs per se, and continue to turn and continue to damage that area. So I did reach out. PennDOT have responded back, and they had indicated that they proposed if we do submit that, we need to do the engineer report along with it. And they had proposed maybe getting away from the weight and making it a length type of restriction as opposed to a weight restriction, and felt that we also could possibly take out the accept local delivery signs if we got that approval, because sometimes truckers see that and figure they could turn through. So I contacted John Schick at Ritu and asked him to give me a quote for what that study would cost. You guys seen a copy of that. He was initially projected $1,800 total for that proposal. That's to do the study, look at the intersection, and complete PennDOT's TE 109 form, and prepare the available GIS mapping as well as the signage plan. I did talk a little bit more with Mr. Schick today. We were going back and forth, and he had done some preliminary, just was looking at trying to do some auto turn determinations at that corner to get an idea of what they were looking at truck wise. he felt that we'd probably be limited to no trucks over 30 feet in length. Because once you get over that, you're starting to turn into that other lane, or you're cutting across through and you're hitting that pole. So the other part that he did recommend as well is that we have these similar signs posted on the other end of Wabash at Reamstown Road. And he thought that those signs also look at a weight restriction as opposed to a length, and felt that as for that amount, that 1,800, they could do both intersections and bring that signage up to where it needs to be. I did talk with the chief today to see what type of incidents he was seeing on the lower end, and you had indicated it's been relatively calm lately, so we haven't had many issues there. Ultimately, what we would do is if the board approves it, we would complete the study for those 2 intersections. We would then submit that documentation to PennDOT. PennDOT would approve the placement of the advanced warning signs in the right-of-way, and the signs that we'd be looking at would be on South Line Road on either side of Wabash, and then up at Reamstown as well, Reamstown Road by Wabash. And then the township would essentially be signing off on that study, and then we'd have to do it by ordinance. We have to essentially approve an ordinance. There's a conflict now. We have an ordinance in place. PennDOT said they didn't have a copy of the weight restriction study. I haven't been able to find that study. The PennDOT representative said, well, if there's not a study and you want to keep it weight restricted, you need to do a study, or you need to take the signs down. We felt that the weight signs probably weren't the best ones there, so this is an easier, more cost-effective way than doing the weight study and getting these signs in place.
That weight restricted sign on the Reamstown side of Wabash may go all the way back to when the bridge on Wabash was.
Is that 2016? Does that sound about right?
You're correct, Craig, it goes back, that was put up because after that old iron bridge that was.
Yeah, there was an ordinance in place which addressed Wabash and Fouts Hill Road, and I think it was 2016 was when that was determined to do that. So what we would end up doing is if you eventually approve that tonight, we'll get that process started. We'll go through and have PennDOT sign off. We'll take the action we need to, and then the solicitor will have to draft, and we'll take action on an ordinance to clean that up to address what that proper signage would be. On the flip side of that as well, I did contact PP&L to see what their plan was, because obviously they have a pole that keeps getting hit. And
they just put the pole in our yard today. They're supposed to put the pole, as far as we know, December 23rd.
Okay. And PP&L was proposing that they may end up having to look at removing that pole, but in doing so, that's going to require 3 other poles to be placed adjacent, not at the intersection per se, but in areas close by there, so that those wires can continue to be run.
It's not an option.
Yeah,
He talked to us, and we told him that's not an option.
With us.
Well, the only way would be is if it's in the right of way. They could do it in the right of way.
Yes, but he also said that he'd have to put a pole on the opposing side of Wabash.
Correct.
And one that is also in the Mollers residence on the Indian Town.
Yeah, there'll be 2 poles. The preliminary drawing showed 2 poles on either side of yours and 1 across the street, and that other pole would come out. They would want to do it in the right of way. The concern that they have, which is something I think we have to look at with this whole study, is if the pole stays though where they have it, it's going to probably keep getting hit. So.
Yeah.
But if they take the pole out, they're gonna take more of our yard. They're gonna come through more.
They're gonna take the whole corner.
That's not gonna solve the problem at all.
Yeah, it's not going to fix the problem to keep the pole there.
It's gonna make it worse.
To take the pole.
If they take the pole completely out, it's gonna make it worse.
Well, this is, I guess, what we'll have to look at, because obviously they had indicated you weren't in favor of having a pole.
No, we're not.
Another pole located on your property, but I guess the concern is if there's always a pole there, and if people aren't following that guideline.
But that's why the situation has to be changed, not take our property. And like I said, that's not gonna solve anything, because they're gonna come around that corner and just take that corner off more in our yard. It's not gonna solve the problem.
It's gonna eliminate too much.
And then changing the situation is, what are you asking in regard to, outside of changing the posting of, if it's posted that way and we enforce it, if a truck's still turning there?
Then I guess they should be ticketed for it or something. It's not gonna solve anything. There has to be something that's gonna solve the problem.
And I guess that.
There's a sign coming from Denver that says accept local deliveries also, so they'd have to do all three of those.
Yeah,
things.
it would be the approach coming both ways on Line Road and then
Yes.
changing that sign. And then the other part would be, which we don't need PennDOT approval for, but it would be putting a sign across from Four Seasons, eliminating a left turn out of
left
Four
turn there,
Seasons. Right.
because once they leave the property, that property doesn't matter anymore because they're not on Four Seasons property. Technically, you drive onto the road, you're in East Cocalico Township.
Right. So the goal was to try, how do we holistically look at this to address it? Because we may not be able to get to where we want to be by doing partial parts, but the first part would be to at least make sure that, one, we have that area studied, we have the ordinance in place, and we have the signs posted so that we can ticket if we do find people that are violating that. But my only concern is if the pole goes back to where it is now, it's still probably going to be straight.
It's gonna be hit no matter where it is, it's
Right.
gonna be hit, because they're just gonna turn more and it's not gonna matter.
I have a question. We're talking about spending money and ordinance and plans and stuff like that. I haven't heard where the main base of these trucks that come and go from has been approached. Has anybody, is the main problem Four Seasons? Is that the main?
It's because their address is Wabash Road.
Sergeant Projan looked at a GPS of one of the truckers that hit it, and he was from some other state. And he observed the GPS that took him that way. It brought him through down 322 and somehow got him on South Line Road. And, sometimes truckers, well, that's where the GPS told me to go. And that's their answer.
A little voice on the dash.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
So
Now, Donnie has contacted Garmin, he has contacted,
I contacted Graham McNally,
and Smart Truck.
and Smart Truck did it within 3 to 4 hours. Graham McNally and Garmin are saying it could take up to the second quarter of next year, which is June.
Mhm.
That's another 6 months. Within the paperwork that I have, I can show you dates and everything that happened. I got over 28 violations of people that we stopped, turned, actually had incidents with the police.
All
I've
hours
had
of
to
the
call,
day.
and it's all hours of the day, so it doesn't happen. And that is just since 8/16. Because they put a brand new pole in on 8/16, and on
And
the
it's already
morning
hit
of 8/17, it was already hit. And then it went for a long time.
Right, and just
Something's
the other
changed.
part is the township has reached out as well as the efforts to
Well,
Four
sure, and-
Seasons to make sure
Now,
they're aware of it. And
After the accident on the 22nd, Jason Hollinger came down from Four Seasons and talked to us. And he said he would like somebody from the township to go talk to Four Seasons, that they do want to help. He said they're looking for permission to put up more signs, and we would be willing to work with you guys to do so. So we need somebody from here to go talk to maybe Jason Hollinger from Four Seasons,
And he's the president.
and talk to him and see, maybe you guys can work
As a
something
matter
out,
of
I don't
fact,
know.
the one that the chief came out on, and where they was stuck on the pole, he was going to work that day. And he had to go way out of run. While we were still there another 2.5 hours. It basically comes down to where they say, it says local, except for local deliveries, it's a local delivery. One of their addresses is Wabash Road.
Mhm.
Maybe we just need to have their address changed to North Reading Road, 272, whatever it is.
Well, the guy
We
said he,
eliminate the one that says Wabash Road.
the guy said he came off of 222. Didn't he say 222? And he came down 272, he went down Garden Spot, came up Line Road and to go to Wabash.
Yeah, he actually made a complete loop. Turned it Twin Pine. No, he said the GPS took
Took
him
him
down
there.
to there.
Yeah.
It took him to where Twin Pine is,
Which makes
and
no
make a
sense.
right to come back around. And half the time you have somebody say, well, the GPS told me to turn there.
They all say that.
We need to do something that says.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I know I've said it before, but has anybody looked at the original plans for Four Seasons when that was built? have any of you, I know Mike wouldn't have been in it, and Craig wouldn't, so I'm looking at you two. Have you looked at those plans? No. If my memory serves me correct, because I was on the supervisor then, part of that deal with Dave Hollinger was your trucks, you're gonna have to put signs up or something. When they exit your property, they may not turn left. And now he signed on to that. Go look at those plans, please. And you can take those over, and Jason has nothing to do with it, or any blood relative, but hey, here it is. They're not allowed to turn. Whatever you gotta do. I know half these guys are, I call them gypsies. They don't work for Four Seasons.
None of them do, and you don't know if they're the same drivers ever coming back again.
We don't have as much of a problem with Four Seasons
No,
trucks.
you shouldn't.
They
Well, no, they don't
told
come
all
that
of
way.
their people
They don't come
not to go that way. In most cases, if it comes up there, it's a box truck. And that doesn't have that length that we're trying to eliminate, but it's people coming from everywhere else. And they do it at all kinds of hours, mostly during the objective of darkness.
Yeah, when you can't see them, well, we see them.
I would, you've talked to Schick, you've talked to PennDOT. I guess my motion would be simply to please initiate whatever the traffic engineer and PennDOT has indicated. Let's get it started, let's get it moving, and let's look for a successful conclusion.
Have you thought any more about the bills or put something in there to do anything?
No, well, the bollards, you have a different area there. They're not, they have to be put in concrete. You have just soil there, so they'll just roll over and push those in, similar to like your
Yeah, like
big
my
rocks and, yeah, everything.
Right.
So unless we're concreting or putting a sidewalk in or something like that in that area, they're probably not gonna be as effective.
And we understand that. Our rocks have been drugged, if you're familiar with that corner, all the way up past the trailer park entrance.
The one was the other day.
And you said the crash that was there last evening
Well,
wasn't relative to a turning vehicle. Is that
No,
correct?
that wasn't involved.
Right,
No,
okay.
that was on the other side of the intersection.
that crash actually happened when somebody came from Wabash to go over to Indian Town, and somebody came through Line Road from the post office. So when they contacted that's West Cocalico Township.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with that.
Okay, so you made that motion, and
Yes,
I will second that. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, that motion carries.
All right,
Okay.
yep, we'll get moving.
We'll get there.
We're waiting. No,
It takes time, and we
no, we
realize
do,
that, and we
and we
appreciate
thank you
it.
for what you're doing.
But
Thanks for your
politics
patience.
pushes slowly.
If I could interject just a quick moment here, Alan Maxwell. I've been in the trucking industry from a driving standpoint and a management standpoint for well over 30 years now. Looking at that intersection, there is no truck size that should be making a right-hand turn coming from Ephrata on the Wabash Road. School buses can barely make that turn safely without coming into the opposing traffic's lane to get around that turn. That turn right there should be a strictly no right turn for any vehicle over 10,000 pounds GVW. That's the only way you're going to be able to enforce that type of thing, if you make that kind of a restriction based on the total GVW. So no right turn over 10,000 pound GVW. I've seen it in other areas around the country. Our drivers come across this on a regular basis where they have to reroute to go around. And if they fail to do so and they're caught, there's hefty fines for disregarding that sign. But from my experience, there is no way any truck over 10,000 GVW should be trying to turn right on that intersection. It's tough enough coming from Denver to make that turn. But when you see school buses struggling and making people back up because they can't make that turn without coming into the opposing lane, we're talking about all the different things we can do, but we're not talking about holding the driver accountable. And that's one method that we could do that would hold the driver accountable.
Thank you. Okay, next item, Mike.
Just two quick last items and more informational, no action required. We did received a copy of the review of the existing standby generator study completed by Arrow. You recall they started to do one to look at replacing the existing 20 kilowatt standby generator at the building that provides some service to the police and to the township authority. And we looked at, well, if we were going to be considering that, let's make sure obviously we could do the entire administrative office with what we need to be for the township offices. The original, I guess, proposal was to go with a 40 kilowatt generator. That's been revised to a 45 kilowatt generator to accommodate the township office loads. They say considering the age of the existing generator, it's recommended to replace the generator with one that's adequately sized. Obviously, this would be something that could possibly be a 45 kilowatt standalone, weather resistant enclosure, pad mounted with 200 amp automatic transfer switch. The projected cost that they had put in there based off of conditions they see now is about $69,400. That is just a projection. Again, we had budgeted $60,000 in ARPA funding for 2022. The other concern is the current lead time for a generator like this is 56 weeks. So we're looking at some time. If you recall, this study though was just primarily to see what size generator we would need to be able to provide this service. We really didn't get into making any decisions concerning the design and the brand and the type and all that. This was just to get an idea where we are, what that cost would be. So that'll be the next step. If the board has any comments, I'll wait to hear if the authority has any comments. And then as we get into the beginning of the year, we can try to put together then what we want to see this design look like a little more and kind of flush that out. Any comments or?
The new reality of lead times.
Yeah, 56 weeks is unbelievable.
Mr. Hession, Ralph Buckles, please make sure that purchase price also includes a monthly startup fee for an electrician or one of your staff to start that generator up every month, just to make sure it's running.
Mm-hmm.
This
current one does now, right?
The current one is automatic.
Yeah.
A lot of the automatic switches have timers in them every week or however period of time it's run automatic.
Ours happens every Monday.
But it needs to be just somebody to validate that. A 45 kW unit is a pretty good sized machine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my thought now that we have this study back. There's at least 3 generator companies within half an hour, 40 minutes, 2 of them up in Lebanon County, Martin right out here at Ephrata. Let's bring them in and let them take a look at what we got, see what their proposals are moving forward.
Put it in the 2024 budget.
Well, maybe they'll tell us something different as far as availability.
All right, and then the last item is just a minor, more internal for staff, supervisors and volunteers, is that due to the kind of continuing COVID-19 pandemic and issues, it's being proposed that the township cancel our Christmas luncheon for volunteers, where we recognize volunteers, similar to what was done in 2020. And then hopefully once the pandemic subsides and things get back a little bit more to normal, maybe during 2022 mid-year, we could try to organize an event that recognizes people who dedicate their time and talent and everything else for the township. So unless you're opposed to that, that was the thought, just try to keep people safe at the holidays. We could send out a notice thanking everybody, but we just wouldn't have that drop in where we're all together in a room.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Chief.
Yes, actually 2 things I believe. The first is, it might have been yesterday or the day before, I came upstairs and saw that Ron Bittner from Univest and Gerard was in Judy's office. He had just stopped in, say hello, check on things. So we talked a little bit, and he not sure if it was myself or Judy that asked the question in reference to the COLA raises for the retirees. When the Police Officers Association made the side agreement, which I'm not a member of, but they made the side agreement in reference to changing the word from shall to may in the police pension ordinance, that allowed them to do various options, which was presented. So Ron explained that with the pension fund being where it's at, just as he did in the pension meeting, as long as it's over 90% funded, then the retirees get a 3% COLA raise. So we talked about that, and he explained a little bit further to me that when you look at the 4 choices that were given in reference to which we were going to do for next year, the choice was, it says no COLA. The COLA raise is going to be given next year. It's only going to come due to be paid for, and I think it's approximately $40,000 in 2024, when the next study is done.
2 years.
Yeah, so I wanted to clarify that in reference to things, in reference to, there is a COLA raise coming for the retirees, but it's being paid for in 2024 because of the way the system is set up. So that's why it wasn't included in this choice that was given to the supervisor and they voted on. So I just wanted to clarify that because he clarified it for me. I thought it was important that it would be clarified overall.
And I think the actual agenda, since some of that information came within the time frame where we could advertise it, the goal is to put that on the December 16th agenda where the board makes that motion to acknowledge what that COLA increase is then. So it's part of the record and we're all on the same page.
So he clarified it for me. I figured I would bring it up and kind of clarify it for everybody else. And the only other thing, well, actually 2 things. It's December, so that means inclement weather is more likely to happen. So I would ask that everyone, the best way to prevent accidents is to simply slow down. Whether it's rain, sleet, snow, whatever it might be. So we would just ask the public to slow down when that occurs. And finally, again, Cole's Toy Drive is ongoing within the township or within the police department in reference to Cole Troop. And the donations new unwrapped toys can be brought to the police department, Riviera Pizza, Heck Construction in Denver Borough, and of course I'm missing one. But there's another drop-off location in reference to that. So again, we are very, very grateful for the community, or to the community, for all the donations that we received. And I'm not sure the exact delivery date. I think it's probably the week right before Christmas, where we will go out and, if the hospitals allow, hand out the toys. I have a feeling we'll be dropping them off again this year as we did before, and that's fine. So I just want to say thank you to everyone in reference to that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief? Yes, sir.
I saw that you guys raised $18,000. So that you guys raised $18,000 for your brothers.
Yes, that was the countywide effort. I think it was $18,000 that was raised by waiving the grooming requirements for many different police departments throughout the county. So yeah, it was a very significant goal, and I think we did pretty well this year. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sharon?
Just briefly, I wanted to let the board know of the December zoning hearing board. Will be hearing just one application for a variance from the requirement on the zoning map of a 210-foot wellhead setback at the what is currently the old brick front building.
General store.
Thank you, is that what it was? Okay. At 2651 North Reading Road. And they're requesting a reduction to 100-foot setback, which is, my understanding, is a typical setback requirement. The authority has no objection, and they said that it's the standard is 100 feet, but, and they don't know how that got to be such a large setback. If they are not able to get that variance, that property there is essentially sterilized from any kind of development because that circle takes up almost the entire property. So that's the agenda for the upcoming zoning hearing board. I know I had some interest in knowing what those are in case you want to take a position toward that. And of course, I have more details if you want more details, but that's the gist of it.
So that will be for the December meeting, or is it an application for the January meeting?
No, it's scheduled for, and it's been advertised for the December zoning hearing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Comment,
Yes, sir.
we ought to
I'm
actually,
sorry.
Ralph Buckles, we ought to actually thank that developer and that owner of that property for pushing that, because it's actually good for business. It'll actually allow us to put that piece of property back into a more usable format if the approval is put in for the 100-foot versus the 250. Because that 250 will ruin that property for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay. MS4, anything additional?
No, we've pretty much been working on FS4 last meeting.
And treasurer's report, Jeff, list the bills.
Yes, okay, a total general fund account of $52,341.84. Is there any questions on such? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
And we have a total of electronic payment for payroll for the period of November 7th to November 20th of $84,982.48. Any questions there? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve.
And I will second that. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay. So, yeah, no, okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, old business, did we have anything on the old business side? Yes, sir.
Not for discussion, because we only received this the 29th, but several months ago, you remember the board did approve a contract with Foster and Foster out of suburban Chicago to do what's called an actuarial study on our OPEB. OPEB is other post-employment benefits. And we asked them to tell us what they're going to cost and to give us projections, etc. They have issued a 16-page report, much of which is quasi-legalese, but nonetheless, they push the numbers out clear into 2050 and change. Sort of reminds me of a weather report. The weather person generally gets tomorrow and the day after pretty good. Maybe the 5 to 10 day forecast, okay. The 30-day forecast, a little fuzzy, and forecasting weather for the winter, really fuzzy. I think when you push a report out to 2050 and don't change your assumptions, you know, but we will discuss it next meeting. I'll just tell you that I honestly believe that as a board, we're a step ahead of some other municipalities who refuse to even recognize it, address it, or figure out what it costs or what it's going to cost. I don't know if they hope it goes away or if healthcare gets changed with a magic wand, I don't know. But it's there, and recognize it and then deal with it. So, but I wanted to just bring up on our old business because you knew months and months ago, if you're a regular, that we signed a contract to have this done, and that's the latest status. That's fair.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, I had some new business I wanted to bring, but I'm gonna delay that till the next meeting. I apologize, there's just a couple other things I need to check on. And I apologize to Mike, I forgot to get the presentation to him, and I gave it to him today at the last minute. So I wanna make sure that gets in the packet. I'm sorry about that, Mike.
No problem.
A crazy week. Okay, public comments for non-agenda items. Again, just please state your name clearly. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Steve Brubaker. In regard to the historic property that was demolished on Weaver Road there, I forget which meeting you guys had a motion that there was going to be a report gathered. They stopped the demolition and there was going to be a report gathered, and they were supposed to harvest some of the more preserved things. Well, quickly after that motion, within like a week and a half, the house was completely rubbled. Just wondering if there was a follow-up to that, if you guys received the report?
Yeah, the deadline is December 15th, but we have been in contact with them. They have acknowledged that all conditions the township had provided they are going to meet. They have been in touch with the Historic Preservation Trust and increased their donation to the trust much higher than what the $500 that we had asked for. And the zoning officer was actually today had discussed with them to make sure that by the 15th they provide that documentation that they would have had to have done if they did the steps in the right order, would have happened first before the building would have been torn down. In regard to an inventory of what materials were there and where those materials were repurposed. That inventory will come back to us, as well as a copy will go to Cocalico Valley Historical Society and the Lancaster Preservation. I'm not sure if I have their name right, but so that is all set, and we did set that date to give them that time to do it, as well as prior to the board's next meeting on December 16th.
Then I have a follow-up question to that. So what, if any, plan is there so that this doesn't happen again, that our historic buildings don't accidentally get demolished?
Well, there's a process in place. You know, they're detailed on the in the zoning ordinance, this district, and we try to communicate as much. Here's what you need to do to get a permit, whether it's demolition, whether it's building something. Really, on that one, we only became aware because a citizen had called, and we went out to confirm it and then put the stop to it. So maybe a little more education to people. Maybe we can include that in a newsletter. But
well, unfortunately, the process didn't work in this situation. You know, maybe, I don't know, a little more proactivity on the township's side.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, I know Tony used to drive around doing, you know, stop-ins. He used to check the zoning, what was going on. I don't know if that's a possibility or not.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as we've kind of stabilized a little bit more in now who we have on board, you definitely want to be more proactive. But we could go out to a site and then be out somewhere else, and then the timing could be that they start to do it. So that's why I'm saying you have to educate. It's never going to stop everybody from doing it, but you would hope that people would want to follow. The key is, if you're going to do something like that, call the township. You know, it takes 5 seconds to call and get a response so that you know up front that you're not doing something that you shouldn't be doing. I'd be a little naive to think that even if we pounded that home, that's always gonna happen. So it might be a mix of a compilation of all those things. We do appreciate the person who recognized it, whether it's there, whether it's another part of the township, to call in and say, hey, this looks a little different, you know, and then, like I said, that day we got the call, we were right out and we're able to stop that. But if we could be proactive in a number of different ways, maybe we avoid that happening in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. We have a list of historic properties that are recognized in the township. Maybe we should send each of them a letter explaining the regulations and their obligations as an owner of property. We can do that. I can work on that.
Yeah, and in that case, that was actually a new owner. So they had no indication or weren't aware, according to them, that that was a historical property. So we have to make sure that could be part of the proactiveness and what we need to do. But I think it's going to take all those components to do it. You know, not one thing's going to stop that from happening in the future.
Yes, sir.
I found out over the years, Doug Mack, I found out over the years that it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. These people know they're not supposed to do it, but they hope they don't get caught. That's just the long and short of it. So then they come in and beg for forgiveness. So you're gonna run into this. I don't know how you're gonna stop it. I understand what you're saying, Steve, but just how it is.
Yes, sir.
The ordinance says it's a $500 fine. Well, I think the fine was set years ago. Maybe they should reevaluate the fine.
Yeah, I believe that, I may be wrong, but I thought that fine can be assessed by and I'm looking at Sharon because she has probably a better idea than I do on this, but maybe not.
The Historical Society.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, that's definitely something to.
So they set that amount?
I know sometimes those fines are set that the district justice can make that determination, and it could be a per day type fine.
We can put an amount in our ordinance of our choosing, but ultimately,
Yeah, it should have been 5,000.
if we need to actually get to the point of taking it to the district magistrate to enforce, they can change it to any number they want,
right,
including down.
Yeah, that's what, a lot of times those fines are tied into a limit and up to amount, and then a district justice determines what that amount would be. But yeah, I think Mr. Mackley hit it right on the head. A lot of times you get that, I didn't know, I'm sorry, you know, and so maybe we do all these approaches and we try to keep and maintain what's important to our heritage and to our community.
Thank you.
Alan Maxwell on Zoom. In regards to that, I got two questions on that. Number one, when you purchase property like that and it's a designated historic property or historic district, isn't that noted on the deed that you receive with the bill of sale that you have to sign off on, number one? And number two, how did it get to the point where they destroyed the barn and half the house before anyone in the township noticed? Like, that's a lot of work to do something like that and not be noticed by any township official, road crew, police department, nothing. No one caught that. And that road is traveled a lot by township employees. It took a resident to report that. That's what's, you know, surprising to me, that we didn't have the checks and balances in place to try to catch something like this or prevent it, or talk with the owner at point of sale. We had to have seen the sale come across.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any.
I mean, the police department doesn't know what building is historic in the area. I apologize, but I mean, you know, our ordinances and laws and our books that thick already. So I'm not expecting my officers to know the historic buildings in the area.
A building that size and that old is obvious that it's old. And if somebody's tearing it down, that should raise flags with everybody. Like, it's obvious that is an old building, or was an old building. Whether you know the rules or not, or the laws or not, common sense would indicate, hey, something's wrong here. Let's ask about it.
the township does not sign off on when a property is bought or sold. We receive a really transfer tax that comes through the recorder of deeds office, but we don't sign off on when it's bought or sold by someone. I guess the question would be, is there a way to legally attach to the deed? For instance, I know there's a small development here in the township that had some sinkhole issues, and it was a requirement to put on all the deeds as they were selling lots, that they notified the person that there are potential sinkhole issues in that lime soil. Am I correct, Doug?
Correct.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mackley. But anyway, could that happen with historical property? I don't know. I know that there are some properties here in the township that have placards. And the placards are fairly obvious and fairly well known to a lot of people. But can you get a residence on a backcountry road that someone starts demo without going through the proper channels? Yes. But I like Ken's idea of at least putting those properties on notice via US mail.
I guess that would be a suggestion I would have, is when we receive notice that a property like that was sold and the taxes were paid or whatever the process is, that maybe our zoning officer have a conversation with the new owner. Just remind them this is a historical site. Here's the regulations you need to follow before you do any changes to the property. It's a simple phone call in some cases, but it would be a communication from the township through to the new ownership, who, as you said, might not be aware of it.
I can tell you, if you have a mobile home and you wish to replace that mobile home with a newer model, you're required to get a sign off from the tax collector. And I wouldn't want to hazard a guess at how many people yank out an old mobile home, put in a new one, and keep stepping. So I agree with what was said. There's processes that are in place, and if you choose to seek forgiveness as opposed to permission, and maybe you have to pay accordingly, but you're right, it won't bring the property back.
Keep in mind also, fundamentally in this case, we have demolition permits for when you need to demolish a structure. They didn't even file for the demolition permit. And it's a difficult balance also because, my opinion, government tends to be intrusive enough. How intrusive do we want government to be? Do we want someone going out and inspecting every single property? We have some municipalities that every single time a resident changes a rental property, they need a brand new certificate of occupancy, and they charge anywhere from $150 to $500 for that CO. That includes if it's just a weekend rental. So there's a balance there in terms of bandwidth for the municipality, costs for the residents overall, and we do have procedures in place. Can they always be improved? Of course. But we have procedures in place that actually rely on a level of ethics and professionalism from the other party also. We have no way of policing that. Yes, sir.
Just one more, like a National Historic Register, you can apply for that at any time. So technically, you could own a house now that might be an old, quote, historic residence, but it's not noted as such. You can apply to the National Historic Register, and it takes time, but you can get that plaque. I know it's happened here in Reamstown already. The house didn't start out that way, but it ended up that way. So it would be a tough thing to try and, Craig's idea was good about putting it on the deed, but when they sold it, it wasn't on. You'll never know it. It's a fine line.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, the next Board of Supervisors meeting, last one of the year, will be on December 16th at 7 p.m. in person and public here, as well as live via Zoom.
Motion to adjourn.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
See if Dallas is living.
No, but why?